galaxy is vast, more immense than the mind can truly comprehend. Stars burn in distant silence, planets spin in their lonely orbits, and between them stretches a void so complete it swallows sound, light and hope alike. And yet in this void, there are whispers. They are faint, almost imperceptible, carried on currents of fate that only a select few can feel. For some, the call arrives quietly at first, a subtle unease, a dream that chills the spine, a shadow that lingers longer than it should. For others, it comes with abrupt force, tearing through their life like a tempest, leaving no room for hesitation. The Inquisition does not seek the willing, it seeks the necessary, and if the universe deems you worthy, it will find you no matter how ordinary, no matter how hidden, no matter how unprepared you are to face what comes next. There is no letter, no messenger, no polite inquiry. The summons arrives in a moment of mundane existence, a scholar poring over ancient tomes, a soldier standing guard on a frost-bitten frontier world, a psyker trembling at the raw chaos inside their own mind. One instant, life follows a familiar rhythm. The next, everything is fractured by an invisible hand. You feel it first in your chest, a tightening, a pressure, as though the universe itself has noticed you. Then comes the voice, not in sound, but in clarity of thought, a certainty that your path is being rewritten. Those who resist report nights of insomnia, shadows in the corner of their vision, the creeping suspicion that every action, every breath is being observed. Resistance is futile, acceptance is survival. When the Inquisitor arrives, it is unlike any meeting you have ever imagined. Cloaked in authority, older than the empires they serve, they move with a purpose that seems to bend the world around them. Their eyes see more than the flesh. They pierce the intentions, the fears, the hidden truths that even the soul tries to conceal. Silence follows them like a living thing, heavy and charged, and in that silence, you recognize your own insignificance. And yet, amidst that overwhelming presence, a strange clarity emerges. You are being measured, weighed against some cosmic standard that is invisible and unknowable. The sense of fear is immediate, primal, but beneath it lies awe. To be chosen is an honor, even as it is a sentence. The summons is never simple. Those who receive it are torn from their lives, as though the universe itself is cutting the threads that connect them to what they once knew. Family becomes distant memory, friends fade into a past that feels unreal. The world you once walked is now a stage behind a veil, and you have stepped into a realm where choices are no longer yours to make. The Inquisition does not merely demand service, it demands transformation, a surrender of the self that is total and irrevocable. And yet, paradoxically, there is a strange beauty in this surrender. The ordinary burdens of life, the trivial fears, the petty regrets fall away. In their place rises a singular purpose, to confront what most would rather deny, to face horrors both within and without, and to become an instrument of judgment. But the summons also brings terror. Whispers of what awaits test the mind, the encounters with warp-spawned monstrosities, the infiltration of entire worlds by cults and heresies, the moral compromises that may stain the soul irreparably. You wonder if you will endure, if the cost will be too high, if your spirit will survive the forging. And yet even in this fear, there is exhilaration. A part of you knows that life has never felt more alive than in the moment the Inquisition reaches for you, because the ordinary is gone, replaced by the weight of the galaxy and the chance to wield it with authority and judgment. In the quiet hours before your departure, you stand alone and feel the gravity of what is to come. Your heart beats against the knowledge that nothing familiar will remain. You ask yourself, will you be strong enough? Will you remain human? Or will the path of service erase what you once were? There is no answer yet, only the inexorable pull of destiny. Somewhere in the darkness beyond the nearest star, the Inquisitor waits, and the universe has decided that you are the one to answer. The summons has come, and there is no turning back. The journey from being chosen to standing before the Inquisition is a passage through a twilight of fear and fascination. It begins with preparation, though preparation is a fragile illusion. No matter how much you study, no matter how many simulations or exercises you endure, nothing can mirror the presence of an Inquisitor or the gravity of what lies ahead. Every step toward the rendezvous point, whether a fortress world, a hidden orbital station, or a desolate hive, is weighted with anticipation. The air itself seems thicker, as if the universe conspires to make each heartbeat louder, each breath more deliberate. Even the stars appear different, sharper, colder, more aware. Those first steps inside the Inquisition's domain are disorienting. Architecture that defies conventional design, hallways that curve into shadows, chambers lined with relics, older than memory. All serve as subtle reminders that this is not a place for the ordinary. You feel small, insignificant, and yet paradoxically as if you have been elevated to a new plane where the stakes are immeasurable. Every object, every artifact, seems to hum with history and judgment. A single glance at a weapon, a piece of ancient machinery, or a tome bound in alien flesh, is enough to make your pulse quicken. These are not decorations, they are instruments of power and terror, and each carries the weight of lives, decisions, and consequences that cannot be undone. Interaction with the Inquisitor is unlike any dialogue you have known. Words are few, deliberate, precise, and they cut through pretense. Every question is a probe into your soul, every statement a measure of your potential and weakness. You feel your mind being examined, your motivations dissected, your fears laid bare. There is no malice in their scrutiny, only the cold, exacting necessity of judgment, and yet it terrifies you. To stand in their presence is to confront yourself more honestly than you ever have. You see the threads of your past, the choices that shaped you, and the aspects of your character that might allow you to endure or fail. The summons is not just a call to service, it is an unveiling. You begin to perceive the hidden wrought in worlds untouched by ordinary eye. You understand even before training begins, the magnitude of what the Inquisition protects against. The galaxy is not merely dangerous, it is alive with heresy, corruption, and entities beyond comprehension. The shadows you once feared in your imagination are now tangible threats, lurking behind veils of reality, and you are expected to confront them with nothing but courage, intellect, and a willingness to sacrifice everything. The enormity of this responsibility is both paralyzing and intoxicating. Sleep becomes a scarce commodity, dreams are invaded by visions of what lies ahead, flesh twisted by warp energies, cities devoured by cultist uprisings, innocent lives caught in the machinery of cosmic intrigue. You awaken in the cold, questioning your own sanity, wondering if the Inquisition's reach extends even into your subconscious. Some find solace in ritual, others in meditation, but all discover that the mind, once ordinary, is now a battleground. You are learning in the hardest possible way that survival depends as much on control over your own thoughts as on skill with weapon or strategy. And yet amidst the terror, a strange exhilaration takes root. The mundane world, with its petty struggles and fleeting concerns, fades to insignificance. You are being called to something larger than yourself, something eternal. In this there is a bitter sort of hope. The fear sharpens your senses, the awe refines your perspective, and the knowledge of what is coming steels your resolve. You begin to understand that to be summoned is not merely to serve, it is to become a lens through which the galaxy itself will be observed, judged, and protected. As the final approach nears, you feel the inexorable weight of destiny settle on your shoulders. The threshold you are about to cross is not just a physical doorway, it is a metaphysical passage from the familiar into the extraordinary. Behind it lies a world of incomprehensible power, moral ambiguity, and horrors beyond imagining, and yet you will step forward, you will submit to judgment, you will answer the call, because in the end, the summons is absolute, and the galaxy will not wait. The moment you finally step fully into the presence of the Inquisition is unlike anything you could have imagined. Light bends strangely along the corridors, shadows flicker with subtle movements that vanish when you look direct. The air is thick with anticipation, charged with an energy you cannot name. Every sense is heightened, the metallic tang of relics, the low hum of machinery older than memory, the distant echo of unseen footsteps that may or may not exist. It is a theater of judgment, and you are both audience and participant, aware that a single misstep could define your entire fate. The Inquisitor does not greet you in the ways one might expect. There is no warmth, no ease, no superficial courtesy. They regard you with a stillness that is almost unbearable, as though weighing your very soul against the needs of the galaxy. And yet within that stillness, there is purpose. You sense that they do not judge out of cruelty or malice, but because the universe demands. Their silence is a challenge, to prove that you are not merely flesh and thought, but potential given form and will. Each heartbeat seems to echo in the cavernous chamber, each breath a reminder of the fragility of life and the strength required to endure what comes next. The summons, in its finality, strips away illusions of control. Your past becomes a faint echo, a series of memories no longer relevant to the destiny now imposed upon you. You feel the weight of history, of those who came before, of the countless lives sacrificed so that the galaxy might survive. And in that weight, there is clarity. The Inquisition is not a path chosen lightly, and to follow it is to embrace both burden and power. You understand, even in this first encounter, that courage alone will not suffice. You must wield judgment with precision, act with certainty, and carry secrets that would drive most to despair. Yet there is a peculiar beauty in this initiation. The ordinary limitations of human life, fear, desire, doubt, begin to dissolve. You become acutely aware of the raw potential within you, of the ability to shape outcomes that ordinary men cannot even perceive. The summons awakens something primordial, a hunger for understanding, for vigilance, for mastery over the chaos that seeps through the cracks of reality. You sense that your life will never again be private, ordinary, or small. Every choice, every action will carry consequence, and every consequence will ripple outward, touching lives you may never see, in ways you may never fully comprehend. As the Inquisitor finally speaks, their voice is quiet, yet it fills the chamber more completely than any sound you have known. Each word is deliberate, measured, and impossible to ignore. They outline expectations, warn of dangers, hint at the transformations ahead. But beneath the formalities lies a deeper truth. The Inquisition does not merely test bodies or minds, it probes the essence of a being. Will you endure terror without faltering? Will you judge without hesitation? Will you sacrifice without regret? There is no room for weakness, and yet the challenge is not impossible. Those who survive emerge changed, elevated, and bound to a purpose greater than themselves. The final moments before your induction are filled with a strange mixture of terror and exhilaration. The path ahead is unknown, shadowed by the weight of cosmic intrigue, by horrors both seen and unseen. Yet the summons has already begun its work, shaping your mind, sharpening your instincts, and igniting a determination that would have been impossible before. You realize that to be called is not simply to serve, but to transform. You are no longer merely an individual, you are a conduit of judgment, a guardian of humanity, and a witness to truths most would rather deny. And then it is over. In one sense, the threshold has been crossed, the summons has been answered. You stand in the shadow of destiny, aware that everything familiar has been left behind. What comes next is both terrifying and wondrous. The journey into the trials of the Inquisition, where courage, intellect, and soul will be tested beyond imagining. There is no return. There is only the path forward, illuminated by purpose, shrouded in darkness, and defined by the unwavering mandate of the Inquisition. The summons has ended. Your transformation has begun. The Inquisition does not herald challenges with fanfare. It delivers them quietly, almost imperceptibly, like a shadow sliding across the horizon of your mind. You awaken to a world that seems unchanged, familiar planets, mundane streets, but the truth is unmistakable. Nothing is ordinary anymore. Every step you take, every breath you draw, carries the weight of observation. And soon the trials begin, not as abstract tests, but as visceral confrontations with fear, morality, and the raw unpredictability of existence. The trials are designed to strip away pretense, to expose the core of who you are. There is no handbook, no guide, no path that guarantees success. Each challenge is unique, tailored to probe weaknesses, exploit doubt, and reveal hidden strengths. One day, you face a war-torn hive city, crawling with insurgents, zealots, and civilians whose lives hang by the thinnest thread of fate. The task seems impossible, yet it is only the beginning. You quickly realize that the true test is not merely survival, but judgment, to decide who lives, who dies, and who must be sacrificed for the greater good. The weight of these choices is immediate and crushing. Beyond the physical, the trials strike at the mind. Psychological and psychic challenges confront you with visions of potential futures, futures in which failure leads to slaughter, futures in which the galaxy itself is consumed by chaos. You walk through corridors where reality bends,
where shadows twist into impossible shapes, where the whispers of long-dead heretics echo through empty chambers. Every sound, every flicker of light, is a riddle designed to provoke doubt. You begin to question what is real, what is illusion, and whether your own judgment can be trusted under such pressure. Yet even amidst disorientation, clarity emerges. These trials are forging something new within you. Pain becomes a constant companion, not just the pain of battle, but the subtle ache of moral compromise, the internal tension of decisions made under duress. You learn quickly that hesitation is lethal. To pause, to consider too long, can cost lives, both your own and those of innocents who cannot defend themselves. You witness the consequences of indecision in real time, and the lessons are brutal, uncompromising. In these moments, you realize that the Inquisition does not merely train you, it remolds you, sculpting instinct, intellect, and will into a weapon calibrated to the demands of the galaxy. Allies are few, and trust is rarer still. The trial teaches that betrayal may come from any quarter, that deception is a constant companion, and that even loyalty must be tested. You encounter fellow recruits who falter, who fall prey to fear, or who make choices that reveal their true character under pressure. Some fail outright, disappearing without a trace, swallowed by the consequences of the tasks set before them. Others survive only to emerge hollowed, shadows of the people they once were, and you are left to consider, if they cannot endure, can you? Through the endless sequence of challenges, the trials begin to shape a new rhythm within your body and mind. Reflexes sharpen, senses heighten, instincts become honed to an almost preternatural degree. Every threat, every anomaly, every moral dilemma is another step along the path of transformation. You begin to move with the economy of purpose, thinking several steps ahead even as chaos erupts around you. The galaxy, in all its complexity and horror, begins to reveal patterns, and in recognizing these patterns, you find a fragile sense of control amidst the storm. Yet for all the skill and clarity gained, the trials are not merely external, they are profoundly internal. Each confrontation with danger is mirrored by a confrontation with self. Fear, doubt, rage, and despair are tools wielded against you, to be mastered rather than denied. You feel the slow erosion of comfort, the deliberate dismantling of familiar moral frameworks, and the shaping of a psyche that can act decisively in circumstances ordinary minds would find paralyzing. The pain is absolute, the clarity is piercing, and the transformation is unavoidable. By the time you face the culmination of the first cycle of trials, you are no longer who you once were. Your body is trained, your mind is honed, your instincts are acute, but more importantly, you have begun to internalize the truth of the Inquisition, that judgment is not given light, that sacrifice is inevitable, and that survival is measured, not by skill alone, but by the capacity to endure what most cannot even perceive. The galaxy watches, waits, and the trials continue, as relentless as the stars themselves. The trials escalate with a precision that borders on cruelty. Every test is a mirror, reflecting not only your actions, but the hidden recesses of your mind. You encounter situations that defy conventional logic, cults that worship the warp with rituals that twist reality, rogue psychers whose powers shatter perception, worlds teetering on the brink of annihilation. In each scenario, you are thrust into the role of arbiter, forced to act decisively, while the consequences ripple outward in ways you cannot fully predict. Hesitation is not merely dangerous, it is unacceptable. Physical endurance becomes inseparable from mental fortitude. Hours stretch into days with little rest. Hunger, fatigue, and injury are constant companions. Yet these corporeal trials are only part of the forging. The greater challenge lies in mastering fear itself, confronting horrors that exist beyond the comprehension of ordinary human. You face abominations twisted by the warp, entities that defy known physics, and the lingering echo of human treachery that is far more dangerous than any beast. The eyes of the Inquisition seem to penetrate through every action, every hesitation, judging not just survival, but intent and perception. Moral ambiguity becomes a weapon as sharp as any blade. Decisions must be made in moments where every choice carries grave consequences. Do you spare the innocents, knowing it could compromise the mission? Do you eliminate a potential threat, understanding that your judgment may later be questioned? Every scenario is designed to break the easy certainties of conscience and replace them with a more calculated, unflinching resolve. you realize that the trials are not meant to teach right from wrong. They are meant to teach clarity in judgment, the cold calculus of survival, and duty in a galaxy that does not forgive hesitation. Isolation is another crucible. Alliances are fleeting, trust is perilous, and the weight of knowledge becomes heavier with each passing day. The Inquisition does not merely test your capabilities, it tests your capacity to act alone, to endure the crushing burden of secrets and decisions that others cannot share. Even when others are present, the trials demand that you perceive the truth beneath layers of deception, that you anticipate betrayal, and that you remain unswayed by emotion when the galaxy itself seems to demand compromise. Paranoia is a constant companion, yet it is necessary, an essential tool in a world where appearances are always deceiving. Yet within this relentless crucible, there are glimpses of something more profound. Moments arise where insight pierces the chaos, where instincts honed under pressure reveal hidden patterns, where the universe itself seems to yield secrets to those who dare to pay the price of observation. These fleeting instances of clarity are intoxicating, reminders that the trials, for all their brutality, are shaping not just a warrior, but a sentinel, one capable of perceiving, judging, and acting with precision in a galaxy perpetually teetering on the edge of annihilation. The psychological weight of these trials is relentless. Dreams are haunted by the faces of those who have perished, visions of worlds lost to heresy, and echoes of choices that could have been made differently. Every decision reverberates within the mind, each failure leaving scars that will not fade. You begin to understand that the Inquisition's purpose is not only to test skill and courage, but to cultivate a resilience so absolute that the individual self becomes secondary to the mission. The price is immense, but the reward, clarity, power, and purpose is equally profound. By the conclusion of this second phase, you have begun to shed the naive assumptions of your former life. Fear, once paralyzing, has become an instrument of focus. Hesitation, a luxury you can no longer afford, and moral certainty, a relic of a world that no longer exists. The trials do not merely teach, they transform. And with each success, each carefully weighed action under extreme duress, you take another step toward becoming the kind of agent the Inquisition requires, unwavering, precise, and prepared to confront the darkness in all its form. The galaxy watches silently as the trial continues, and you feel its weight, its inevitability, and its silent demand for excellence. You are not merely a participant in these challenges, you are becoming a living embodiment of judgment itself, forged in the crucible of trials that would break the ordinary and elevate the extraordinary. There is no applause, no recognition, no sense of relief. Instead, there is only the quiet understanding that the journey has changed you irrevocably. The final challenges are crafted to strip away the last vestiges of hesitation and doubt, forcing you to act decisively in moments where the line between success and catastrophe is razor thin. Every decision reverberates, echoing with consequences that extend far beyond the immediate moment. You find yourself confronting adversaries whose power and cunning rival the most fearsome threats the galaxy has ever known. Cult leaders who manipulate entire worlds, psychic predators who invade the mind with malevolent precision, and monstrous creatures born of the warp itself. All test not just your skills but the very limits of your courage. Each encounter is designed to push you past the boundaries of endurance, forcing you to recognize that fear is not an obstacle but a tool, that hesitation is the enemy of survival, and that only those who can master themselves can hope to master the trial. In the crucible of these final tests, you learn the essence of the Inquisition. Judgment is absolute, decisions are irrevocable, and responsibility is heavier than any weapon. The lessons of combat, of strategy, of perception, and of moral calculation converge, shaping you into something more than human, yet painfully aware of the fragility that remains. You are forced to balance instinct with intellect, courage with caution, and power with restraint. The smallest miscalculation can result in devastation. The smallest act of clarity can avert catastrophe. Every moment is a test, and every moment teaches you the high cost of failure. Beyond the external challenges, the trials exact an internal toll. The mind is a battlefield where doubt, fear, and regret clash against resolve, focus, and determination. Visions of failure haunt the edges of consciousness, demanding attention, provoking despair. You are forced to confront uncomfortable truths about your own nature, the parts of yourself that could falter under pressure, the desires and fears that might compromise judgment. Only by acknowledging these vulnerabilities and then choosing to act regardless. Can you endure? This is the paradox at the heart of the trials. Strength is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. As the final trial draws to a close, a transformation is evident. Your body bears the marks of exertion. Your mind carries the weight of decisions made under impossible conditions, and your spirit has been tempered like steel forged in fire. The trials have reshaped every facet of your being, instilling an unyielding clarity and a disciplined focus that few could comprehend. Where once you hesitated, now action is instinctive. Where once doubt clouded judgment, now perception is acute. Where once fear could immobilize, now it drives precision. And yet even in victory, there is no celebration, no sense of triumph. The trials were never about accolades or recognition. They were about transformation. You have not merely survived, you have been remade. The person who answered the summons is no longer the person standing at the threshold of the Inquisition. That identity has been shed, replaced by someone attuned to the galaxy's dark complexities, someone capable of wielding judgment with absolute clarity, someone prepared to carry the burdens of knowledge and responsibility that accompany service in the shadow. The lessons of the trials linger long after their immediate challenges are faced. They echo in thought, in instinct, and in every decision that follows. You move forward with an awareness that every choice carries weight, that every action shapes the fates of countless lives, and that survival is only meaningful when coupled with clarity, purpose, and moral resolve. The trials are complete, but their effects will endure for a lifetime or perhaps longer. As you take the final steps beyond the arena of tests, a quiet understanding settles within. The Inquisition does not create mere soldiers, it cultivates guardians, arbiters, and agents of judgment who can operate in a galaxy where horror and chaos are constants, and where the line between hero and executioner is often indistinguishable. You have been forged in fire, tested against unimaginable odds, and tempered by experience. The trials have ended, but the path of the Inquisition stretches endlessly ahead, demanding vigilance, strength, and the unwavering will to act when others hesitate. You are brought to a chamber unlike any you have seen, a place steeped in history and silence, where the air itself seems to carry weight. Light filters through stained glass and alien constructs, casting fractured patterns across floors worn by centuries of footsteps. Here, ritual and ceremony blend seamlessly with authority, creating a space where time feels suspended, and every heartbeat carries the gravity of destiny. You are no longer simply a participant in the Inquisition's machinations. You are now the focus of an ancient rite designed to mark the transition from recruit to agent. Every object, every symbol, and every utterance has significant. Cloaks, blades, relics, and inscriptions all whisper of deeds accomplished, sacrifices made, and knowledge safeguarded across millennia. You feel both insignificant and exalted simultaneously. Insignificant before the magnitude of what the Inquisition represents, exalted because you have been chosen to step beyond ordinary humanity. The ceremony begins with words that are measured, deliberate, and impossibly precise. They echo in the chamber, reverberating not just through walls, but through your mind, shaping perception and focus. The Inquisitor speaks of duty, of sacrifice, of the immense responsibility now entrusted to you. Every syllable is weighted with centuries of tradition, every pause a test of attention and resolve. You listen not merely with ears, but with every fiber of your being, aware that comprehension is not enough. You must internalize, embody, and become aligned with the principles laid before you. Symbolic acts follow, gestures, oaths, and the acceptance of implements whose presence carries authority and consequence. Each motion is intentional, a language older than memory, a dialogue between what has been and what is to come. You feel the ritual shaping you, bending your will, and redefining identity. There is a subtle terror in this process, for transformation is never painless. Old habits, old fears, and old notions of self are gradually stripped away, replaced with a new framework of purpose, discipline, and moral acuity. The initiation is not merely ceremonial, it is deeply personal, psychological, and transformative. You are forced to confront questions about loyalty, morality, and the limits of endurance. Would you act to save a world at the cost of a single life, or preserve one life at the cost of many? Could you wield power without allowing it to corrupt? Would you sacrifice your own humanity for the sake of duty, or cling to it and risk failure, the chamber becomes both crucible and mirror,
exposing doubts and ambitions alike, revealing what must be relinquished in order to endure. Throughout the ritual there is an undeniable sense of continuity, a line connecting those who came before and those who will come after. Every recruit who stands in this chamber joins a chain of guardians, arbiters, and enforcers whose actions have shaped the fate of humanity across centuries. The weight of their legacy is palpable, pressing on the shoulders of all who enter. You feel the responsibility to live up to their example, to honor their sacrifices, and to carry forward the vigilance they have maintained in a galaxy rife with corruption and chaos. The physical aspects of initiation are as exacting as the psychological ones. You are tested in ways that push endurance, reflexes, and perception to extremes. Tasks are designed to reveal instinctive judgment, control under pressure, and the ability to act decisively while confronting both danger and ambiguity. Each success is a confirmation, each failure a lesson, and each act of perseverance a forging of character. You are being sculpted into a being capable of functioning in circumstances ordinary humans would find incomprehensible. And yet, beyond the tests, the symbols, and the rites, there is a subtle, almost spiritual aspect to the initiation. You begin to perceive the galaxy itself with new clarity. The hidden threads of influence, corruption, and power are visible in ways they were not before. You sense the forces shaping worlds, civilizations, and the fates of countless lives. This is the gift and the burden of the Inquisition, the capacity to understand what most cannot, to act when others hesitate, and to carry the weight of knowledge that could crush the unprepared mind. By the close of the first phase of initiation, a profound shift has occurred. Fear has been transformed into focus, uncertainty into understanding, hesitation into decisive purpose. You are not yet fully realized, but the first step of transformation is complete. You have crossed a threshold, leaving behind the naive assumptions of your previous life, and embracing a new identity, one defined by vigilance, judgment, and the unflinching pursuit of duty. The initiation deepens, moving from ritual to revelation. You are guided through chambers where light and shadow interact in ways that defy simple explanation, halls lined with artifacts, whisper of centuries of vigilance, of victories and failures, of truths so terrible that they are remembered only in silence. Each step you take is a step into both history and destiny, where the past informs the present and the weight of legacy shapes every choice you make. You feel the magnitude of it pressing against you, yet the sensation is oddly invigorating, a reminder that the path you walk is unlike any other, and that what you are about to become will matter more than you can imagine. The Inquisitor observes quietly, their presence a constant measure of your awareness and composure. They do not offer reassurance, for none is needed. Their scrutiny is a silent teacher, revealing not only your strengths, but also the subtle flaws that could compromise you in the field. You sense that every action, every hesitation is catalogued, weighed, and understood. The mind is being trained to anticipate, the body conditioned to respond, and the spirit tempered to endure what mere mortals cannot comprehend. There is no room for error, no place for weakness, and no forgiveness for failure. Ceremony and challenge intertwine as the initiation progresses. You are tasked with trials that test perception, endurance, and judgment simultaneously. A flickering light might conceal a threat, a whispered word could betray an unseen enemy. A single choice may save a world or doom it. These trials are designed to sharpen every instinct and expand the boundaries of comprehension. You learn to trust observation over assumption, instinct over impulse, and reason over fear. Every success strengthens resolve, every failure teaches humility. Through this relentless process, you begin to shed the limitations of ordinary human perspective, replacing them with the calculated clarity demanded by the Inquisition. Moral and ethical challenges are equally exacting. You are confronted with situations in which every option carries profound consequence. Should a heretic be eliminated, even if innocents are caught in the crossfire? Can a world be sacrificed to save countless others? The questions are impossible, the choices agonizing, and yet the Inquisition demands resolution. You begin to understand that judgment is not a luxury, it is an absolute necessity. To act decisively is to survive, to hesitate is to fail. The initiation impresses upon you the idea that morality is not a fixed compass, but a tool to navigate a galaxy where darkness is constant and compromise is inevitable. Throughout the ritual, the symbolic and practical converge. You are given implements, relics, and tools that will define your capacity for judgment. Each artifact carries history, power, and responsibility. Handling them requires more than technical skill. It demands understanding, respect, and a willingness to shoulder the weight of what they represent. The tools themselves are reminders that the Inquisition is not about brute force alone. It is about knowledge, discernment, and the courage to act when clarity and survival collide. The chamber, now quiet, holds the echoes of your accomplishments and failure. Silence stretches over the proceedings, heavy with expectation, and yet beneath it lies a strange sense of solemn triumph. You realize that initiation is not an event but a process, an unfolding of awareness, endurance, and identity. Every step, every trial, every ritualistic gesture has been guiding you toward a version of yourself that is capable of navigating a galaxy in perpetual crisis. The transformation is subtle, almost imperceptible, yet undeniable. You are no longer simply a recruit. You are a candidate to become a guardian of humanity, an agent capable of wielding judgment with precision and authority. As the phase concludes, there is a moment of reflection. Fear and uncertainty remain, but they are tempered by understanding and purpose. You feel the first true alignment between your actions and the demands of the Inquisition. The journey ahead will be longer, darker, and more unforgiving, but you have taken the first definitive step toward becoming what the galaxy requires: vigilant, resolute, and unwavering in purpose. The final stage of initiation is less about ceremony and more about embodiment. Every lesson, every trial, every ritual converges into a singular purpose: to transform thought, action, and perception into a unified instrument of judgment. You feel the subtle shift within yourself, the hesitations of the past giving way to precision, the fears of yesterday replaced by disciplined focus, and the uncertainties of morality tempered by clarity of purpose. The chamber seems alive with expectation, as though it too recognizes the gravity of what is unfolding. In these moments, the Inquisitor steps forward, no longer merely an observer, but a guide through the threshold of full transformation. Their presence is imposing yet instructive, a living testament to what dedication, endurance, and unwavering will can produce. Every gesture, every word, every glance is layered with meaning. You are being tested not just for skill, but for readiness to accept responsibility that extends beyond comprehension. The galaxy itself demands it, and the Inquisition ensures you will be capable. Physical trials are relentless. The final tests are designed to strip away lingering weaknesses, to push endurance to its absolute limits. You face challenges that simulate war, heresy, and psychic assault, forcing you to react with instinct and calculation in perfect synchron. Every decision carries weight, every hesitation is measured. You realize that the body and mind are now inseparable in purpose. Reflexes are sharpened, perception is expanded, judgment is immediate. Pain, fatigue, and fear are no longer obstacles. They are instruments honed to forge clarity and resilience. Yet it is the mental and moral trials that leave the deepest impression. You are presented with scenarios where failure is not merely possible, but inevitable. If approached with hesitation, innocence may die, worlds may burn, and yet the decision rests with you alone. These trials illuminate the essence of inquisitorial judgment, that the ability to act decisively, to weigh cost against necessity, and to accept the burden of consequence, is the hallmark of those who will survive the galaxy's endless crises. There is no room for moral comfort, only action, clarity, and unwavering resolve. Symbolic acts complete the initiation. You accept relics, wear insignia, and take oaths whose meaning transcends language. Each symbol is a reminder of the authority you are granted and the responsibilities it entails. They are not mere decoration, they are a covenant between you, the Inquisition, and the galaxy itself. Handling them instills reverence, focus, and a recognition that power, without discipline, is meaningless. The chamber, lined with centuries of guardians before you, seems to hum with expectation, as if acknowledging your passage from recruit to agent of judgment. By the conclusion of the initiation, a profound transformation is undeniable. The person who answered the summons has been reshaped physically, mentally, and spiritually. Fear has been tempered into focus, uncertainty into decisive clarity, hesitation into instinctual action. You are no longer simply human in the ordinary sense. You are aligned with the purpose of the Inquisition, capable of perceiving what most cannot, judging when others falter, and acting when hesitation would be fatal. And yet, for all this transformation,
The journey is only beginning. Initiation is not the end, it is the gateway. Beyond this point lies the full weight of duty, confronting corruption, hunting heresy, and wielding judgment in a galaxy defined by chaos and moral ambiguity. The lessons of initiation are tools, the trials mere preparation, and the responsibility immense. You feel the gravity of what is to come, and with it, a rare and chilling exhilaration. In the quiet moments after the ceremony, you stand alone and consider what you have become. The past, the life you once knew, the fears that once dominated, feels distant, almost unreal. What remains is clarity, purpose, and an unshakable resolve to act. The Inquisition has claimed you, and in return, it has given you the power to shape the fate of worlds, to confront darkness wherever it lurks, and to carry the burden of knowledge and judgment few could endure. The initiation is complete, the transformation is real. You are no longer merely a recruit, you are a sentinel, a guardian, an agent of the Inquisition, and as the chamber doors close behind you, the first true step of your journey begins. The true power of those who serve lies not merely in their weapons or authority, but in the forbidden knowledge they possess, knowledge that can destroy worlds, unravel empires, and challenge the very foundations of reality. From the moment you step into this hidden domain, you feel the weight of secrets pressing in from every direction. Each hallway, chamber, and artifact is a testament to truths too dangerous to be revealed, and the knowledge of their existence is both a privilege and a burden beyond comprehension. The secrets are not abstract, they are alive in their implications. You learn of planets overrun by warp-tainted cults, of civilizations quietly enslaved by alien machinations, of heresies so pervasive that entire sectors teeter on the brink of collapse. There are tomes bound in flesh, relics imbued with incomprehensible power, and archives containing the histories of those who dared oppose the Emperor's will. Each secret carries consequences. A single misstep, a single disclosure, could lead to devastation, yet to ignore them is equally perilous. The galaxy is a web of subtle threats, and only the Inquisition perceives the strands in their entirety. Trust is nearly impossible within these walls. Knowledge is power, and power is currency. Even among allies, suspicion lingers. Those who serve alongside you are bound by oath and duty, yet every interaction is a test of discernment, every conversation an exercise in reading between lines. Misinterpretation can be deadly, misjudgment can be fatal. You are taught that the weight of knowing is inescapable, that every revelation demands wisdom, and that discretion is as vital as action. To wield knowledge is to wield responsibility, and the cost of failure is absolute. The secrets also challenge morality in ways that ordinary life cannot. You witness evidence of atrocities, corruption, and betrayal that would drive most to despair. You must decide what to act upon, what to suppress, and what to allow to fester, for the sake of a larger plan. Every choice is an exercise in judgment, every silence a decision. The Inquisition's agents operate in shades of gray, for absolutes are a luxury reserved for the naive. In these moments, the distinction between right and wrong blurs, and only the clarity of purpose anchored in duty can guide action. The psychological burden is relentless. The mind becomes a vault, storing knowledge that cannot be shared and must be guarded at all costs. Dreams are haunted by the faces of those who fell, because secrets were mishandled, by visions of worlds lost to treachery, by glimpses of horrors that cannot be unseen. Isolation is a constant companion, for the truth separates you from those who remain in ignorance. Yet within this isolation lies clarity. You understand that the Inquisition's guardianship is not a mere occupation, it is a lifelong commitment to vigilant sacrifice, and the preservation of humanity against threats it cannot even perceive. Physical reminders of secrecy are everywhere. Chambers are reinforced against intrusion, archives are encrypted with psychic wards, and artifacts are encased in materials designed to resist both mortal and warp-induced tempering. You are trained to navigate these spaces with precision, to discern authenticity from illusion, and to recognize the subtle cues that reveal hidden truths. Every object is both a lesson and a threat, and the mastery of these environments is essential to survival and effectiveness. Yet knowledge alone is insufficient. The Inquisition demands wisdom, the ability to act decisively, to interpret hidden patterns, and to judge with unwavering clarity. You are taught to anticipate consequences that span centuries, to weigh moral cost against strategic necessity, and to recognize when secrecy is salvation, and when exposure is required. The galaxy's survival often depends not on the might of fleets or armies, but on the decisions made in quiet chambers where the full scope of truth is known to only a few. And even as you grasp the enormity of these secrets, you sense that they are only a fraction of what the Inquisition guards. The universe is vast, layered with complexity, heresy and hidden threats that defy comprehension. Each revelation illuminates a small corner of reality, yet also exposes the vastness of what remains unknown. To serve is to navigate this boundless darkness with discernment, vigilance, and a willingness to carry burdens no ordinary human could endure. By the end of this first phase of understanding, the weight of knowledge settles upon you. You are no longer merely a soldier or recruit. You are a keeper of truths too dangerous to reveal, a guardian of history and secrets, and a sentinel poised between revelation and concealment. The Inquisition has entrusted you with a responsibility that is absolute, irrevocable, and eternal. And in that trust lies both honor and terror, for the galaxy will never know the truths you carry, nor the price you have paid to bear them. The deeper you delve into the Inquisition's secrets, the more you realize that knowledge itself can be a weapon, sharper than any blade, deadlier than any ordinary. Each revelation carries weight, not simply in fact but in consequence. Learning of a rogue psyker's schemes, a heretic's manipulation, or a Xenios incursion is only the beginning. Acting on that knowledge, choosing who to confront and when, and determining what must remain hidden, becomes a labyrinth of responsibility, where one misstep can cost countless lives. The galaxy does not forgive ignorance or hesitation. It rewards only clarity and decisive judgment. Observation becomes instinct. You begin to notice details others overlook, subtle inconsistencies in behavior, minute traces of warp corruption, the almost imperceptible patterns that reveal hidden agendas. Even in conversation, you read subtext, discerning motives and intentions with precision. Every sense is sharpened, every thought honed. Knowledge is no longer passive, it is active, demanding attention, anticipation, and the ability to translate understanding into effective action. The Inquisition's secrets are living challenges, shaping not only what you know, but how you think, perceive, and decide. The moral weight of these truths is immense. You witness entire worlds teetering on the edge of annihilation, victims of betrayal, heresy, and the machinations of forces beyond comprehension. Choices must be made swiftly and without comfort. To intervene too late may doom countless innocents. To act rashly may unleash even greater horror. The lessons are harsh and unrelenting. Power without judgment is dangerous. Knowledge without wisdom is lethal. And hesitation is a luxury you can no longer afford. These are the truths the Inquisition teaches, often without mercy, but always with purpose. Isolation remains a constant companion. Few can share the burden of what you know, and those who do are themselves tested, wary and calculating. The camaraderie of ordinary life is impossible here. Trust is scarce, even among allies, because the stakes are incomprehensibly high. You must navigate not only the hidden threats of the galaxy, but also the subtle dynamics of those who serve alongside you, learning to act decisively without allowing personal loyalties to cloud judgment. The Inquisition trains not just bodies and minds, but the ability to endure solitude while carrying a weight that could crush ordinary individuals. Artifacts and forbidden texts are both lessons and threats. You are taught to handle them with care, understanding that even a single mistake could unleash consequences far beyond your control. Relics imbued with psychic energy, tomes detailing the histories of heretical uprisings, and devices whose purpose is almost incomprehensible, are all part of your tutelage. Each encounter demands precision, understanding, and vigilance. Mistakes are not forgiven. Every error becomes a scar, etched into the psyche, a reminder that knowledge without discipline is a peril unto itself. And yet, for all the weight of secrecy, there is exhilaration. You are beginning to perceive the galaxy in ways few ever can. Threads of influence, subtle machinations, and hidden alliances become visible to you, revealing patterns and strategies that ordinary minds cannot grasp. This insight is intoxicating, empowering, and terrifying all at once. It is a reminder that the Inquisition is not merely a force of repression, it is a lens through which the galaxy itself is understood, and that the agents who wield that lens carry responsibilities beyond imagining. By the close of this second phase, you recognize the full magnitude of what it means to bear the Inquisition's secrets. Knowledge is no longer a tool, it is a mandate. You are a keeper of truths too dangerous for the uninitiated, a guardian of histories and legacies that shape the galaxy, and an arbiter whose decisions ripple outward with consequences both immediate and long-term. The weight is immense, yet it is the foundation of the purpose for which you were chosen. The chamber grows quiet as you absorb the reality of your role. The Inquisition's secrets are vast, complex and often horrifying, yet they are also the very means by which the galaxy survives. To know is to act, to conceal is to protect, and to judge is to serve. This is the paradox and the privilege of those who stand within its shadows, to carry the burden of understanding, wield it with discernment, and endure the isolation that comes with true insight. The final layer of secrecy is the most profound, because it tests not only knowledge, but character. You are confronted with truths that could shatter perception, unravel trust, and challenge everything you thought you understood about loyalty, morality and duty. Forbidden archives reveal conspiracies that span millennia, heresies that infiltrate the highest echelons of power, and forces whose motives are incomprehensible to ordinary mind. To witness these truths is to accept responsibility that extends far beyond yourself. To act upon them is to embrace a burden few could bear. The Inquisition trains you to navigate these truths with precision. Every decision is a balance between revelation and restraint, between action and discretion. You learn that sometimes the greatest power lies not in what you do, but in what you choose to conceal. Silence can preserve worlds. Disclosure can ignite cataclysm. The secrets are living forces, shaping events even when you are not present, and the ability to anticipate their ripple effects becomes a skill as vital as combat or strategy. Each revelation hones judgment, instills patience, and teaches that wisdom is inseparable from restraint. Even within this structured chaos, the psychological toll is relentless. Dreams are haunted by the enormity of what you know. Memories of those lost or sacrificed mingle with visions of horrors yet to come. Loneliness is absolute, for the weight of truth cannot be shared with the uninitiated. Yet isolation sharpens perception, strengthens resolve, and cultivates a clarity that would be impossible under ordinary conditions. You understand that the very capacity to bear the burden of knowledge, without yielding to despair, is itself a measure of your readiness to serve. Artifacts and relics, once seen only as objects, take on new meaning. A blade etched with centuries of war, a tome bound in forbidden materials, a device pulsating with warp energy. Each becomes a lesson in caution, discipline and comprehension. Handling them requires precision, mindfulness, and respect, for any misstep could have consequences that extend far beyond immediate danger. The secrets you guard are intertwined with the tools you wield, forming a lattice of responsibility that demands both intellect and instinct, judgment and restraint. The final test of initiation into these secrets is subtle yet absolute. It is not a battle, nor a puzzle, nor a straightforward challenge. It is the realization that the weight of knowledge is permanent, that the isolation it brings is inevitable, and that the consequences of action or inaction are eternal. You must integrate this understanding into every thought, every decision, every instinct. To fail here is not to perish physically, it is to falter morally, to misjudge, and to compromise the very principles that the Inquisition embodied. The trial is continuous, extending beyond the chamber, beyond the moment, and into every corner of existence you touch. Yet within this trial lies the most profound reward: clarity. You see patterns that were invisible before, perceive threats before they emerge, and understand the subtleties of power that govern both human and alien machination. The galaxy's hidden forces are no longer mysteries. They are challenges to be navigated with precision, discernment, and unflinching purpose. The knowledge is terrifying, yes, but it is also empowering. You recognize that you are no longer merely a participant in the galaxy's unfolding. You are a guardian of its balance, a sentinel whose vigilance can prevent catastrophe. By the conclusion of this phase, the weight of secrecy has been fully internalized. You are no longer the naive recruit who first answered the summons. You are a keeper of knowledge too dangerous for ordinary minds, a guardian of history and heresy alike, and an agent capable of wielding judgment in the shadows where ordinary morality faltered. The Inquisition has revealed its truths, tested your endurance, and reshaped your perception, preparing you to act when the galaxy's survival demands it. And so you emerge from the chamber, burdened yet enlightened, aware that the path forward will be darker, more complex, and more demanding than anything previously faced. The secrets you carry are a mandate, a responsibility and a shield. The Inquisition trusts you to wield them wisely, and the galaxy relies upon that trust more than it could ever understand. To serve in this capacity is to walk a path few could endure, yet it is a path defined by purpose, vigilance, and unwavering judgment. The moment comes without warning, yet it feels inevitable. After trials, initiation, and the revelation of secrets, there is only one way forward: action. The first assignment is not a mere task. It is an immersion into the unforgiving reality the Inquisition navigates daily. You are briefed in a chamber of shadow and light, where hololithic projections illuminate the gravity of the mission. The target is a world veiled in heresy, a hive planet teetering on the brink of chaos, its population ignorant of the subtle manipulations that threaten to undo centuries of order. This is no simulation, no test. It is the first true measure of whether preparation can survive the crucible of reality. Every detail is provided, yet the enormity of responsibility cannot be quantified. You are to infiltrate, observe, and act decisively, balancing the preservation of life with the neutralization of corruption. The Inquisition does not offer guarantees, only imperative. Lives, worlds, and legacies are at stake, and the tools at your disposal, both physical and intellectual, must be wielded with precision. Hesitation is fatal. Errors are irreversible, and the margin for misjudgment is almost imperceptible. You feel the weight of history pressing upon you, the silent gaze of those who have served before, and the unspoken expectation of those who will follow. The assignment begins with observation, the patient and meticulous kind that demands discipline, awareness, and a subtle understanding of human behavior under stress. You infiltrate the hive city, blending among its millions of inhabitants, each unaware of the threads of corruption woven through their lives. The stench of industry, the clang of machinery, and the hum of energy generators form a constant backdrop, punctuated by occasional eruptions of violence that hint at deeper instability. Every street, every corridor, every shadow becomes a potential threat, a puzzle to be interpreted and a test of judgment. Information is gathered with care, each observation catalogued and assessed. You begin to perceive patterns invisible to ordinary eyes, the subtle signals of heretical influence, the quiet manipulation of officials, and the undercurrent of fear that binds the populace. What appears mundane is in fact a complex web of corruption, and understanding it requires patience, intuition, and an ability to read both people and environment with precision. The Inquisition has trained you to see beyond appearances, and now that training is tested against reality, where consequences are immediate and mistakes unforgiving. Confrontation, when it comes, is sudden and unavoidable. Heretics, cultists, and corrupted officials emerge with intent and power, their motives clear to them, but opaque to the untrained eye. You act decisively, deploying the lessons of your trials and initiation: observation, anticipation, and swift judgment. Every motion is calculated, every decision deliberate, yet instinct and reflex work in harmony. The hive erupts into chaos, but within that chaos you maintain clarity, moving like a shadow that strikes with precision and vanishes before reaction can coalesce. The first assignment tests more than skill. It tests moral resolve. Innocents are caught in the crossfire, and choices must be made instantly. Do you prioritize immediate threat, neutralization, or attempt to protect those who cannot defend themselves? Every option carries consequence, and each consequence leaves its mark on both psyche and world. The lessons of the Inquisition: judgment tempered with discretion, power tempered by restraint, action tempered by foresight, become vivid in practice. Survival and success are inseparable from the capacity to act with unwavering clarity amidst moral ambiguity. The weight of secrecy compounds the challenge. The populace remains unaware of your presence. The heresy is largely hidden, and the threads you must untangle are subtle. The knowledge you acquire cannot be shared. It must be internalized, interpreted, and acted upon with precision. Every observation, every decision, every action contributes to a larger strategy, whose consequences extend far beyond the immediate moment. The first assignment is not only a measure of skill, but an initiation into the profound responsibility of judgment in a galaxy that will never forgive error. By the end of the initial engagement, a transformation occurs. Theory becomes practice, observation becomes action, and moral clarity emerges amidst chaos.
The first assignment is never easy. It is designed to test the very limits of endurance, judgment, and ethical resolve. Yet it is also a confirmation. You are no longer merely a recruit, an initiate, or a learner. You are an agent of the Inquisition, capable of perceiving threats invisible to others, acting decisively in moments of extreme pressure, and carrying the weight of responsibility that few could endure. The mission continues, the Hive City teeming with both danger and opportunity, and you realize that this is only the beginning. Every choice, every observation, every action contributes to the shaping of a world's fate, and the galaxy watches silently, waiting to see if you are prepared to wield the power of knowledge, judgment, and action with the precision the Inquisition demands. The deeper you move into the Hive, the more the city itself becomes a test. Every alley, every crowded thoroughfare, every darkened corridor is a potential threat. Heretics move among the populace with subtle signals, ritualistic gestures, invisible to those untrained in observation. Officials who appear loyal conceal secret agendas, their conversations carefully crafted to mislead. The environment is alive with deception, and you learn quickly that perception is as vital as any weapon. To misread a signal, to ignore a subtle cue, could turn advantage into disaster. Stealth is as important as action. You navigate corridors and chambers like a shadow, avoiding notice while observing, interpreting and anticipating the moves of those around you. Every glance, every whispered word, every shift in posture carries significance. Ordinary civilians are oblivious, yet their lives are entwined in the subtle currents of corruption you must untangle. The Inquisition has trained you to discern patterns in chaos, to read meaning in minutiae, and now that training is tested against reality, with consequences that are immediate and unforgiving. Encounters with heretical elements escalate quickly. Cultists emerge from hidden passages, their rituals interrupted by your presence, their responses violent and unpredictable. Combat is sudden, brutal, and calculated. You rely on precision, not brute force, neutralizing threats with efficiency, while minimizing collateral damage wherever possible. Every motion is deliberate, every strike purposeful, and every decision carries weight. The lessons of initiation and trial converge here, judgment, observation, and action fused into a single, lethal clarity. The moral complexity is constant. Civilians caught in the crossfire force choices that test every ethical boundary you have internalized. Do you preserve life at the risk of letting heresy continue? Do you strike decisively and accept the inevitable casualties? These dilemmas are not theoretical, they are immediate, visceral, and unrelenting. You feel the psychological burden of each decision, the echo of consequence, and the weight of responsibility that defines service in the Inquisition. There is no room for hesitation. Indecision is failure. Clarity, decisiveness, and resolve are the only tools that can navigate such moral labyrinths. Observation too continues even during action. You watch for signs of manipulation, hidden networks, and unseen players. Every defeated cultist, every uncovered artifact, every intercepted message contributes to a growing understanding of the threats woven through the Hive. Knowledge becomes weaponized. Patterns emerge from chaos, revealing the subtle orchestration of events that could lead to planetary collapse if unchallenged. You see not just individuals but systems, and you recognize the responsibility to intervene in ways that maintain balance while eliminating corruption. Isolation, once a trial, becomes a companion and guide. You operate without allies, relying entirely on judgment, skill, and awareness. Trust is a luxury you cannot afford. The first assignment demonstrates the stark reality of inquisitorial duty: to act alone, to perceive what others cannot, and to carry the consequences of every choice in silence. The solitude sharpens focus, hones instincts, and instills a disciplined detachment necessary to endure the galaxy's endless crises. As the mission progresses, a transformation becomes apparent. The skills honed in trial and initiation manifest in fluid, instinctive action. Decisions that would paralyze others become immediate and decisive. Observation, perception, and judgment fuse seamlessly with movement and strategy. You realize that the Inquisition has not merely trained a soldier, it has cultivated an agent capable of operating where ordinary morality, perception, and reflex fail. You are no longer a participant in events, you are a director of outcomes, shaping the flow of chaos into order. By the end of this second phase, the Hive is partially secured, heretical elements neutralized, and patterns of corruption revealed. Yet you understand that this is only a fragment of a larger puzzle. The galaxy teems with threats invisible to ordinary eyes, and your first assignment has only scratched the surface of what vigilance requires. Success is measured not in applause or recognition, but in the survival of the innocent and the disruption of hidden danger. You feel both exhaustion and exhilaration, a recognition that preparation and instinct, judgment and action, have merged into purpose. The first assignment leaves an indelible mark. You are tested physically, mentally and morally, yet the trials of the Hive have solidified your role as an operative of the Inquisition. Observation, judgment and action are no longer separate faculties. They are a unified instrument capable of navigating chaos with precision. And as the city quiets, you prepare for what comes next, aware that each mission will demand more, teach more, and require a deeper mastery of knowledge, perception, and decisiveness than the last. There is no fanfare, no applause, only the quiet recognition of the responsibilities now fully assumed. The Hive, though temporarily stabilized, remains a volatile organism, teeming with life and layered with hidden threats. The first assignment has tested skill, judgment and moral clarity, yet it has also revealed the unending nature of the Inquisition's duty. You realize that success is fleeting, vigilance must be constant, reflection comes quietly, in the pauses between actions, in the stillness after chaos. You consider every choice, every decision, and every consequence. Innocent lives were saved, heresy disrupted, yet the moral weight lingers. Could more have been done? Were there errors unseen, consequences unnoted? These questions are not idle, they are a reminder that the Inquisition operates in a world where the stakes are absolute and the margin for error is non-existent. Each mission, each decision, carries gravity beyond ordinary understanding. The first assignment also teaches the subtle art of strategy. Observation is never passive. Every interaction, every discovery, every subtle clue informs the next move. You begin to anticipate patterns of corruption, predict the actions of those who would destabilize order, and identify the unseen threads that connect individuals, factions, and entire worlds. This understanding is as critical as combat skill. Without it, action is blind, and judgment is flawed. The galaxy's threats are rarely straightforward, and the ability to navigate complexity separates success from catastrophe. Physical and mental fatigue intertwine with moral reflection. The body bears the marks of exertion, the mind carries the weight of observation and decision, and the spirit is tempered by the recognition of what has been endured. Pain, uncertainty, and fear were constant companions throughout the assignment, yet they have been transformed into clarity, resilience, and focus. The first assignment has not merely tested endurance, it has reshaped perception, judgment, and resolve, forging the essential qualities required of an agent of the Inquisition. Even in solitude, the assignment leaves traces that will guide future action. Lessons learned are catalogued in memory, the subtle behaviors that reveal hidden intent, the patterns of heretical manipulation, and the vulnerabilities of systems that might otherwise seem impervious. Every observation is a building block, every consequence a guide, and every choice a refinement of judgment. The assignment has been both a crucible and a teacher, and the knowledge gained is inseparable from the responsibility now borne. The first assignment also highlights the delicate balance between discretion and intervention. Some truths, though known, cannot be revealed. Some threats, though apparent, cannot yet be addressed. The Inquisition operates in shadows, shaping events without recognition, influencing outcomes without applause. You have learned that judgment is exercised, not for personal glory, but for the survival of worlds and the preservation of order in a galaxy perpetually teetering on the edge of chaos. The power of knowledge is inseparable from the responsibility to wield it wisely, and the first assignment has imparted that lesson with unforgiving clarity. By the conclusion of the mission, transformation is complete. You are no longer merely a recruit who endured trials and initiation. You are a fully engaged agent, capable of observation, judgment, and decisive action in the crucible of reality. You have witnessed the fragility of life, the complexity of morality, and the necessity of clarity amidst chaos. The galaxy has tested you, and in return it has shaped you. Yet even as the first assignment ends, you understand that it is only the beginning. The Inquisition's work is endless,
its responsibilities infinite and its challenges unceasing. The first mission has taught you skill, judgment and resilience, but it has also revealed the vast expanse of what remains unseen, unknown and dangerous. You carry forward not only the knowledge gained, but the awareness that every action matters, every decision has consequence, and every choice shapes the delicate balance between survival and annihilation. As you depart the hive, the weight of responsibility settles fully upon you. Observation, judgment and action have become inseparable. The first assignment has forged a path into a galaxy defined by secrecy, danger, and moral ambiguity, and you step forward ready to navigate it with clarity, precision, and unwavering purpose. The journey continues, but you are no longer untested. You are an operative of the Inquisition, and the galaxy itself bears witness to the first act of your enduring vigilance. The galaxy is a web of connections, alliances, and betrayals, and in the Inquisition, the distinction between ally and adversary is often razor-thin. After the first assignment, you step into a broader arena where not all threats are visible, and not all companions can be trusted. Each person you encounter carries a history, a motive, and a potential for betrayal. Even those who bear the insignia of loyalty may conceal intentions shaped by ambition, fear, or ideology. The challenge lies not in combat alone, but in perception, discernment, and the ability to act with unwavering judgment amidst uncertainty. Allies appear first in subtle forms, gestures of assistance, shared intelligence, and tacit recognition of competence. They are not friends in the conventional sense. Camaraderie is a luxury the Inquisition rarely affords. Instead, allies are instruments of mutual necessity, bound by a shared purpose, rather than sentiment. You must assess them constantly, gauging loyalty through observation, testing trust through measured interactions, and discerning intent through nuanced understanding of words, actions, and omissions. The galaxy teaches quickly that misplaced trust is a danger as lethal as a blade. Adversaries, by contrast, are often hidden in plain sight. Corrupt officials, covert heretics, and infiltrating agents operate under the guise of normalcy, their ambitions subtle, their influence pervasive. The Inquisition trains you to see the threads of manipulation, to interpret behavior, and uncover hidden motives, and to anticipate threats that remain invisible to the uninitiated. Every encounter, every dialogue, every movement becomes a test of perception, judgment, and intuition. One miscalculation can compromise an operation, imperil innocence, or even cost a life. Diplomacy is a weapon as vital as any gun or blade. Negotiation, persuasion, and psychological acuity are deployed with precision, balancing influence against risk and shaping outcomes without exposing true intent. Allies must be engaged carefully, adversaries challenged subtly, and every interaction weighed against the larger mission. The stakes are infinite, for even a single misjudged alliance or underestimated enemy can tip the balance of an entire campaign. In the Inquisition, knowledge of human and inhuman behavior is as essential as mastery of arms. The first encounters with potential allies are as revealing as they are dangerous. You observe demeanor, test reactions, and measure reliability. Small tasks, subtle cues, and silent observation uncover character, competence, and intent. You learn to read hesitation as easily as conviction, duplicity as readily as loyalty. Each interaction becomes a puzzle, each response a reflection of the broader game being played in shadows. Trust is a currency more valuable and more volatile than gold, and every investment carries risk. Conflict is inevitable, even among those who appear aligned with your purpose. Divergent motives, hidden agendas, and competing interests surface. Skirmishes, both overt and covert, reveal the true nature of allies and adversaries alike. Combat becomes a dialogue, a negotiation of skill and strategy, where victory is measured not only in survival, but in the precision of judgment. You discover that understanding your adversary is as critical as confronting them. Insight often surpasses force as the decisive factor in success. Moral ambiguity colors every decision. Allies may demand choices that compromise personal ethics. Adversaries may exploit vulnerabilities you cannot reveal. You navigate a landscape where clarity is a weapon, decisiveness a shield, and discretion a necessity. Every act, Every observation, every judgment carries consequences that ripple far beyond immediate perception. The Inquisition operates in shades of gray, where absolutes are dangerous illusions, and understanding the interplay of power, fear, and loyalty becomes essential for survival. Even as alliances are forged and threats confronted, the overarching lesson becomes clear. The Inquisition functions not merely through strength, but through intelligence, judgment, and perception. Allies are extensions of purpose, adversaries are catalysts for vigilance, and every interaction is a test of readiness. The galaxy is a complex theater of hidden influence, and those who navigate it successfully wield insight as deftly as any weapon. By the end of this first phase, the lessons crystallize. You understand that trust is provisional, perception is paramount, and every relationship, whether of ally or adversary, is a delicate balance of risk and reward. Survival, success, and the preservation of order depend not solely on action, but on the ability to anticipate motives, discern truths, and act decisively. The galaxy is alive with intrigue, and the Inquisition demands both clarity and courage to navigate its shadow. As the assignment progresses, the distinction between ally and adversary becomes increasingly nuanced. Sometimes those who appear loyal act out of fear rather than conviction, while those who oppose you openly may hold hidden wisdom or leverage unexpected advantage. You learn to weigh not only actions, but intentions, reading between lines, interpreting hesitation, and discerning subtle shifts in demeanor. Every conversation, every meeting, every exchange of information becomes a test of judgment, a measure of perception, and an exercise in strategic patience. The city, the hive, and the worlds you traverse are filled with layers of intrigue. Officials who seem neutral may be bribed, coerced, or compromised. Cults operate under layers of secrecy, their influence subtle but pervasive, hidden in customs, festivals, and the routines of daily life. Even the civilians, oblivious to manipulation, are part of the larger patterns that shape events. To succeed, you must see the invisible connections, anticipate moves before they occur, and act decisively when the moment demands it. Observation becomes instinct, judgment becomes action, and the subtle interplay of power becomes the terrain in which you operate. Trust is calibrated with extreme care. You test potential allies with small tasks, observing not only results but reactions, hesitation, and initiative. Errors are tolerated sparingly, deception is punished harshly, and loyalty is confirmed through repeated demonstration. The Inquisition teaches that reliance on others is never absolute. Each ally is both a potential advantage and a possible vulnerability. By understanding this, you are able to leverage partnerships effectively, while preparing for contingencies when trust falters or betrayal emerges. Confrontation with adversaries is often indirect, executed through subtle influence, exposure of secrets, or manipulation of perception. Open combat is a measure of last resort. Understanding motives, predicting actions, and anticipating reactions allow you to neutralize threats without unnecessary violence. When violence is required, it is precise, calculated, and executed with minimal collateral damage. The balance between subtlety and force is delicate, and mastery of both is essential. Every move is part of a larger strategy, every choice an extension of judgment honed in the crucible of training and experience. Moral ambiguity is omnipresent. You are forced to make choices that balance ethical considerations against practical necessity. Sacrifice, compromise, and discretion become tools in maintaining stability and achieving objectives. Every decision carries consequence, both immediate and long-term, and the weight of each choice is magnified by the hidden nature of the conflicts in which you are engaged. The Inquisition demands that action be measured, decisive, and guided by clarity of purpose, even when clarity comes at the cost of comfort or certainty. Observation continues to sharpen instinct. Every movement of allies and adversaries, every subtle change in behavior, every hint of duplicity or sincerity, contributes to a growing mental map of influence, intent, and potential consequence. You begin to predict the ripple effects of decisions, to recognize the cascading patterns of manipulation, and to act preemptively to mitigate danger or exploit advantage. Knowledge becomes weaponized, perception becomes power, insight becomes survival. The first encounters with high-level adversaries crystallize these lessons. Hidden agents, heretical leaders, and corrupted officials are revealed not by overt action, but through careful observation, subtle inference, and strategic decision-making. You realize that every choice, even one that seems minor, has the potential to tip the balance of power. Allies may falter, adversaries may overreach, and you are tasked with discerning truth, acting decisively, and preserving order in a galaxy where chaos is constant. By the end of this phase, the lessons are undeniable. Clarity is power, observation is survival, and judgment is the ultimate weapon. Allies and adversaries alike are integral to understanding the galaxy's complex dynamics, and success depends on the ability to navigate this ever-shifting landscape with precision, insight, and unwavering purpose. The final phase of engagement with allies and adversaries reveals the subtle, enduring nature of the Inquisition's work. You realize that influence is as vital as power, and insight often outweighs force. Allies, when carefully cultivated, extend your reach into the hidden recesses of society, exposing corruption, manipulation, and heresy that might otherwise remain invisible. Their loyalty, tested and verified, becomes a tool, a shield, and occasionally a lifeline. Yet even these allies are not beyond scrutiny. Trust is always conditional, vigilance always necessary. Adversaries, in contrast, are living tests of your judgment. Their cunning, resourcefulness, and unpredictability challenge every assumption, forcing you to anticipate moves that have not yet been made and to prepare for consequences that cannot yet be seen. They are the mirrors against which your skill and insight are measured, their actions shaping both immediate decisions and long-term strategy. The Inquisition trains you to recognize the patterns of deception, to exploit weaknesses, and to act with precision, turning potential threats into opportunities or neutralizing them before they can manifest fully. Every confrontation, whether with ally or adversary, carries moral weight. Decisions are rarely clear-cut, and the consequences of error are severe. Innocent lives may hang in the balance. Plans may unravel in a moment of misjudgment, and entire populations may suffer if vigilance falters. The Inquisition prepares you not only to act decisively, but to endure the psychological toll of these choices. Reflection becomes a constant, tempered by action. Understanding is inseparable from consequence. In these moments, clarity is more than insight, it is survival, and judgment is inseparable from morality. Even when morality is shadowed by necessity, you begin to appreciate the delicate balance that defines inquisitorial operation. Allies provide support, intelligence, and strategic advantage, but also introduce potential risk. Adversaries demand constant attention, insight, and adaptability, yet they also clarify patterns, test limits, and reveal weaknesses in the broader web of influence. The interplay between these forces shapes every decision, every action, and every outcome. Mastery of this balance is not optional, it is essential. The galaxy is not static, and every engagement is a dynamic test of perception, judgment, and decisive. Isolation remains a constant even among allies. You understand that true understanding, decisive action, and ultimate responsibility cannot be shared fully. Allies assist, guide, and support, but the burden of judgment rests squarely on your shoulder. This solitude sharpens perception, heightens awareness, and cultivates clarity of purpose. It is the crucible in which an inquisitor's capacity for leadership, insight, and moral resolve is forged. Without it, understanding and action become muddled. Indecision replaces judgment, and the subtle threads of influence are lost amidst chaos. The galaxy, viewed through the lens of the Inquisition, is a complex mosaic of hidden threats, latent opportunity, and intricate influence. Every action shapes not just immediate outcomes, but the subtle currents of power, loyalty, and consequence that ripple across systems and sectors. Allies and adversaries alike are integral to this understanding. Their interactions, choices, and motives illuminate the hidden structures that govern behavior, influence events, and determine the fate of worlds. To navigate this web is to exercise judgment at its highest level, balancing observation, intuition, and decisive action. By the end of the chapter, the lessons crystallize. Clarity of purpose is power, perception is survival, and judgment is the ultimate instrument of influence. Allies are not friends, adversaries are not enemies in the conventional sense. They are elements in a galaxy-spanning chessboard, whose moves are measured in influence, consequence, and survival. The first engagements have taught that understanding relationships, motives and hidden agendas is as vital as combat skill. Every interaction, every choice, every decision contributes to a larger strategy, whose scope few can comprehend, yet whose consequences shape the lives of countless beings across the stars. And so, as you prepare for the next mission, you carry these lessons forward, the understanding that allies are instruments, adversaries are teachers, and judgment is the ultimate tool for navigating the galaxy's endless complexity. The Inquisition has revealed its patterns, tested your insight, and refined your perception. You are no longer merely an observer. You are a participant, a strategist, and a sentinel, capable of wielding both knowledge and action with precision in a galaxy defined by uncertainty, danger, and shadow. The warp is not merely a realm. It is a force that defies comprehension, a turbulent sea of energy and malevolence that exists beyond mortal perception. To confront it is to face a mirror of the galaxy's chaos, an ever-shifting landscape where reality bends, time fractures, and intent itself can become a weapon. The Inquisition trains you to navigate this storm, to perceive patterns where others see only madness, and to act decisively amidst forces that would unravel the mind. No ordinary human can endure the warp unshielded. No untested soul can survive its subtleties without guidance, discipline, and unwavering focus. Your first encounter is both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The ship shudders as it enters the Imperium, the fabric of reality stretching and twisting, colors unseen in the material world swirling across vision, and whispers of unknowable entities threading through perception. The air, if it can be called that, vibrates with energy, resonating deep within the mind, probing for weaknesses, seeking to exploit doubt. Every thought, every fear, every desire is magnified. You realize immediately that preparation and knowledge are not enough. Survival demands mental discipline, clarity of purpose, and the ability to act with absolute certainty. Despite the disorienting assault on senses, observation becomes the first tool. The warp is alive with signals and patterns imperceptible to ordinary senses. You learn to read fluctuations in energy, the subtle distortions that hint at entities and phenomena just beyond comprehension, and the currents that may carry danger or opportunity. The Inquisition teaches that mastery of perception is more crucial than any weapon. Understanding the Imperium is the first step towards surviving it. Mistakes are lethal. Misreading a ripple can result in madness, possession, or death. The first lessons are immediate and visceral. The mind strains to hold on to familiar concepts. Time, space, causality, colors, shapes, and sounds twist and merge, creating a sensory overload that threatens clarity. You are forced to anchor yourself, to focus not on fear or confusion, but on observation, discipline, and interpretation. Thought becomes a tool, instinct a weapon, and every action a test of judgment. The warp is both a teacher and an adversary, offering knowledge, power, and insight, yet demanding vigilance and respect in equal measure. Entities within the warp make themselves known subtly at first, fleeting glimpses, whispers at the edge of perception, a presence that hints at intelligence and malevolence. The Inquisition instructs that these are tests of perception, resilience, and judgment. Panic is fatal. Hesitation is fatal. Instead, clarity of thought, discipline of mind, and decisiveness of action are required. You learn to observe without reacting immediately, to interpret signals before acting, and to anticipate consequences in an environment where causality itself is fluid. The physical manifestation of the warp is equally treacherous. Reality bends unpredictably, creating disorienting spatial distortions that challenge navigation, threaten stability, and test endurance. Instruments and senses can fail, creating illusions and false reading. The Inquisition trains you to rely not solely on technology, but on instinct honed through observation, understanding, and disciplined awareness. Trust in yourself, in judgment, and in the training imparted becomes paramount. Moral and psychological resilience are tested as well. The warp amplifies doubts, fears, and suppressed emotions, challenging resolve and judgment. Memories may resurface twisted, desires may be manipulated, and visions of potential futures can destabilize perception. The mind must remain anchored, disciplined, and focused on objective reality, as best it can discern. Failure to maintain clarity risks corruption, madness, and the loss of self. Every thought is a battlefield, every perception a challenge, and every decision a potential lifeline or hazard. By the end of this first phase, The realization dawns that confronting the warp is as much an exercise in psychological endurance as in skill or strategy. Observation, judgment, and mental discipline become inseparable. Knowledge alone cannot ensure survival. The Imperium is a mirror to the chaos of existence, reflecting both the galaxy's dangers and the vulnerabilities of those who attempt to navigate it. Success requires clarity, precision, and the capacity to act decisively in the face of incomprehensible forces. The deeper you move within the warp, the more subtle dangers reveal themselves. Currents of psychic energy twist unpredictably, carrying whispers that seek to manipulate perception, inflame fear, or provoke despair. These currents are invisible to ordinary senses, yet you
A dissonance in thought, a flicker in perception, a pull at the edge of consciousness. The Inquisition teaches that awareness alone is insufficient. Understanding the patterns, predicting the flow, and acting preemptively are the only ways to survive. Every ripple is a potential threat, every fluctuation a test of judgment. Entities of the Imperium become bolder, their presence more pronounced. Shapes form in the periphery of vision, sounds resonate with malevolent intelligence, and the very air, or its equivalent, vibrates with potential harm. You learn to maintain distance, to avoid drawing attention, and to use observation as a shield. Reaction without comprehension is fatal. Anticipation without clarity is equally dangerous. In this realm, knowledge is inseparable from survival, and instinct must be guided by careful perception and unwavering judgment. Physical and mental coordination are challenged continuously. The warp does not respect ordinary logic or physics. Gravity, time, and causality twist and shift unpredictably. Even simple movement requires concentration, calibration, and adjustment. The environment tests both body and mind, forcing the practitioner to integrate instinct, observation, and discipline in a way that transforms action into almost meditative precision. Each step, each motion, each reaction becomes a conscious act, executed with intention and awareness of consequences that may extend beyond comprehension. The psychological toll is relentless. Memories resurface distorted, fears amplified, and desires manipulated into dangerous distraction. You experience moments of vertigo, as reality appears to fold in upon itself, and visions of potential futures threaten to cloud judgment. Yet each trial is also a lesson. The warp does not punish the prepared, the disciplined, or the perceptive. Survival depends not on brute strength or simple courage, but on mental acuity, emotional control, and the ability to discern truth amidst chaos. In this crucible, clarity becomes a weapon. Observation is elevated to a form of intuition. Perception guides action with a precision impossible under ordinary circumstances. You begin to predict the movements of entities, anticipate the direction of currents, and identify patterns invisible to untrained minds. The Imperium is both a challenge and a teacher, revealing the limits of ordinary perception while rewarding focus, discipline, and insight. Knowledge transforms into foresight, and foresight becomes survival. The first confrontations with hostile warp entities are harrowing. They strike not merely with force, but with deception, manipulation, and psychological assault. You learn to resist provocation, maintain focus, and act with deliberate precision. Every motion, every choice, every decision is magnified by the warp's influence, demanding calm, clarity, and unwavering judgment. To falter is to succumb to corruption or madness. To succeed is to demonstrate the inseparable union of training, perception, and instinct. Isolation within the Imperium intensifies the experience. There is no support, no immediate recourse, and no respite from the assault on senses and mind. Survival relies entirely on discipline, observation, and the ability to integrate knowledge, judgment, and instinct into seamless action. The solitude itself becomes a teacher, sharpening perception and fortifying resolve. You learn that the warp tests not only skill and perception, but character, endurance, and moral resilience. By the conclusion of this phase, the immensity of the warp is understood, not in its totality, for that is impossible, but in its patterns, currents, and threats. You recognize that confronting this realm requires more than preparation. It demands constant vigilance, unwavering discipline, and the integration of perception, judgment, and decisive action. The first encounter has transformed understanding into experience, knowledge into instinct, and fear into focused resolve. The final phase of confronting the warp reveals its true purpose, not merely to challenge skill or endurance, but to test the mind, spirit, and moral clarity of those who navigate it. Every observation, every decision, and every action is magnified in consequence. The Imperium reflects both the galaxy's chaos and the inner workings of the mind, exposing weaknesses, amplifying doubts, and magnifying errors. Success requires more than survival. It demands insight, discipline, and the ability to act decisively in a realm where reality itself is unstable. As entities manifest more vividly, their intelligence and malevolence become apparent. They test perception, probe for fear, and exploit hesitation. You learn to observe without reaction, to interpret signals before acting, and to remain anchored to purpose even as the environment twists and shifts unpredictably. The warp is not merely a physical hazard, it is a psychological battlefield, where clarity is a weapon, and judgment is the shield that separates sanity from madness. Every decision must be deliberate, every movement intentional, and every perception validated through experience and training. The integration of knowledge, instinct, and action reaches its peak. Observation informs anticipation, anticipation guides movement, and movement executes judgment. The constant feedback loop between perception and decision-making becomes instinctive, transforming experience into an almost preternatural understanding of the Imperium's rhythms. Each encounter teaches adaptation, foresight, and the necessity of precision. Here, even the smallest error can have catastrophic consequences, yet the disciplined mind turns danger into opportunity, chaos into clarity. Moral and psychological resilience is tested in unexpected ways. The warp amplifies not only external threats, but internal conflict. Thoughts of doubt, fear, and temptation surface unbidden. Memories may twist into visions of what could have been, or what might yet occur. Yet these trials are integral. They forge mental discipline, sharpen judgment, and cultivate the ability to act decisively under pressure. The Inquisition's mandate demands that you maintain purpose above fear, clarity above confusion, and resolve above temptation. Each victory over the warp's subtle manipulations strengthens the mind, fortifies the spirit, and enhances judgment. By the end of this encounter, a transformation occurs. The Imperium is no longer a realm of purely external threats. It has become a mirror of your capabilities. Observation, judgment, and action are now fused, creating a clarity and decisiveness that extend beyond the warp and into every mission, every encounter, and every challenge in the galaxy. Knowledge has become instinct, foresight has become strategy, and fear has been tempered into resolve. The experience also imparts humility. The warp is a force beyond comprehension, vast, chaotic, and eternal. No amount of training or insight can grant absolute mastery, and even the most capable agent must respect its power, navigate cautiously, and act with restraint. Every decision carries weight, and every observation can shape outcomes beyond immediate understanding. Survival is not triumph over the warp, it is harmony with its rhythms, an alignment of perception, judgment, and action that allows purpose to prevail amidst chaos. As the ship exits the Imperium, the calm of real space is almost disorienting. The galaxy's familiar physics, gravity, and time resume, yet the experience lingers. Every choice, every decision, every perception in the warp has left an indelible mark. Observation has become instinct, judgment has been refined, and resilience has been tested to its limit. You emerge not merely as a survivor, but as an operative tempered by chaos, capable of perceiving patterns invisible to ordinary minds, acting decisively amidst uncertainty, and carrying the weight of responsibility with clarity and purpose. By confronting the warp, you have crossed a threshold. You understand now that knowledge, discipline, and perception are inseparable from survival, and that judgment must always guide action. The Imperium has tested the mind, spirit, and morality, forging an agent capable of navigating not just space and conflict, but the unseen currents of chaos that shape the galaxy. You are no longer simply a participant in the galaxy's unfolding. You are a sentinel, a guardian of balance, and a vessel of the Inquisition's unwavering purpose. The culmination of your journey as an inquisitorial operative is not marked by ceremony, nor by recognition. It is measured in clarity, precision, and the capacity for judgment. Every lesson, every mission, every encounter with allies, adversaries,
and the warp has converged into a singular truth. Mastery is not simply skill, but the inseparable union of perception, action, and discernment. It is the ability to perceive subtle patterns, anticipate consequences, and act decisively with both courage and restraint. By now, the galaxy's layers of chaos and intrigue are no longer merely observed. They are understood. The subtle currents of power, the invisible threads of influence, and the hidden dangers that shape worlds are visible to you not as abstract threats, but as tangible elements to be interpreted, anticipated, and navigated. Allies are no longer unpredictable variables. They are instruments of purpose, whose loyalty is continually verified, whose intentions are carefully observed, and whose actions are integrated into the broader strategy. Adversaries too are understood. Every move, every subtle manipulation, every potential betrayal is read with precision, anticipated with foresight, and countered with judgment, sharpened by experience. Mastery emerges not from the absence of risk, but from the capacity to operate within it. Decisions are never simple, every action carries weight, and every choice is bound by consequence. You have learned to act decisively even when the morality of the action is ambiguous, to maintain clarity when perception is assaulted by chaos, and to integrate knowledge into The galaxy is a realm of uncertainty, yet within that uncertainty lies the opportunity to impose order through insight, judgment, and deliberate action. Observation has become instinct. You perceive the minute shifts in behavior that indicate hidden agendas, the imperceptible signals that hint at unseen danger, and the patterns in chaos that reveal opportunity. Judgment is now refined by experience, tempered by moral resolve, and guided by the understanding that action must always be aligned with purpose. In moments of crisis, decisions emerge not from hesitation or speculation, but from clarity of perception and unwavering discipline. The Inquisition has taught that mastery is measured not in power alone, but in the capacity to act decisively amidst uncertainty, knowing that every choice shapes the fate of worlds. The moral dimension of judgment is inseparable from action. You have witnessed the consequences of error, the fragility of life, and the pervasive influence of corruption. Every assignment has tested resolve, every encounter has challenged morality, and every engagement has required balancing ethical consideration with practical necessity. Mastery is not simply the absence of mistakes, it is the ability to navigate moral ambiguity with discernment, to weigh consequences, and to act with both precision and purpose. In a galaxy where absolutes are illusions, the culmination of skill and judgment is visible in action. Whether confronting a heretical plot, coordinating allies, or navigating the turbulence of the warp, every motion is informed by observation, every decision guided by foresight, and every act executed with deliberate precision. Experience has transformed theoretical knowledge into instinct, fear into resolve, and uncertainty into calculated confidence. The galaxy's threats are constant, but mastery allows you to meet them with clarity and purpose. Reflection reveals the transformation completed within you. From the first tentative steps into the hive, through the trials of observation, confrontation, and exposure to the immaterium, you have evolved from recruit to operative, from observer to strategist, from participant to sentinel. Every mission has honed perception, tested judgment, and strengthened resolve. The weight of responsibility is now fully integrated, and you carry it not as a burden, but as a measure of readiness, insight, and authority. Yet mastery is not the end, it is preparation. The galaxy continues to turn, threats emerge unseen, and the work of the Inquisition is perpetual. Each mission undertaken, each decision made, and each observation recorded contributes to an enduring pattern of vigilance and action. Mastery does not grant rest, but it ensures clarity, precision, and the capacity to act decisively when the galaxy's instability calls. The Inquisitor's path is unending, yet each step is informed by experience, judgment, and the fusion of knowledge and action that defines true mastery. The galaxy's complexity is now a landscape you navigate with purpose, rather than uncertainty. Every interaction, every hidden threat, every subtle pattern of influence is processed through the lens of experience, perception, and judgment. Allies are engaged with strategic clarity, adversaries anticipated before their intentions can unfold, and the consequences of action weighed with meticulous care. Mastery is not merely knowledge, it is the seamless integration of insight, foresight, and decisive execution. Observation continues to be your greatest weapon. You see what others miss, the hesitation in a subordinate's gesture, the flicker of duplicity in an official's gaze, the faintest distortions in the currents of the warp that signal approaching danger. Each nuance, each subtle signal, adds to a mental map that informs strategy, directs action, and allows you to shape outcomes rather than simply respond to them. This is the true power of the Inquisition, the capacity to perceive beyond the obvious, to act where others hesitate, and to exert influence where direct force would fail. Every confrontation, whether with a heretical cult, a corrupt administrator, or an unseen warp entity, is now approached with a combination of instinct and calculated strategy. Decisions are deliberate, informed by observation, experience, and an understanding of both immediate and far-reaching consequences. Precision is paramount. Hesitation invites disaster, and overreach can unravel even the most carefully constructed plan. In this, mastery manifests not only in action, but in restraint, the wisdom to know when to strike and when to observe, when to intervene and when to prepare. Moral clarity is inseparable from judgment. You have learned that the choices made in the shadows often carry consequences that echo across worlds and generations. Every life saved or lost, every deception uncovered or allowed, every risk taken or avoided, contributes to the broader tapestry of the galaxy. Mastery demands that you act not from impulse or ego, but from understanding, foresight, and a disciplined commitment to purpose. The weight of these decisions is heavy, yet it is carried with clarity, discipline, and an unwavering sense of responsibility. The integration of all skills, observation, judgment, decisiveness, and moral discernment, culminates in a state of readiness that transcends ordinary capability. You can anticipate outcomes, manipulate scenarios, and guide events with subtlety and precision. Allies become extensions of strategy, adversaries serve as tests of perception, and the chaos of the galaxy is navigated as both a challenge and an opportunity. Mastery is not a static achievement, it is an ongoing process of adaptation, observation, and action, refined through experience and strengthened by discipline. Isolation remains both challenge and teacher. Even with allies, the ultimate responsibility rests solely upon you. Decisions are yours alone, and the consequences, both visible and hidden, must be borne without hesitation. This solitude sharpens focus, hones judgment, and instills a level of clarity that cannot be attained in dependence upon others. It is the crucible through which the Inquisitor emerges, capable of navigating moral ambiguity, uncertainty, and danger with an unwavering sense of purpose. The culmination of your journey is visible in both action and perception. You move with precision, perceive patterns with clarity, and act with judgment, tempered by experience. The galaxy's dangers, though unending, are no longer insurmountable. They are challenges to be understood, anticipated, and mitigated. You recognize that true mastery is not the elimination of risk, but the capacity to operate decisively within it, balancing observation, foresight, and action with moral discernment. By the end of this phase, the transformation is complete. The lessons of allies and adversaries, of hives and warp, of observation and judgment, converge into a singular purpose: the unwavering execution of duty, with clarity, precision, and moral awareness. You are no longer simply a recruit, a participant, or even a trained operative. You are a sentinel of the Inquisition, a guardian of balance, and an agent capable of navigating the galaxy's chaos with skill, insight, and unwavering resolve. The final test of mastery is not in skill, not in observation, and not in courage. It is in judgment. Every decision you make, every action you take, every interpretation of information carries consequences that extend far beyond immediate perception. Mastery is revealed in the alignment of knowledge, instinct, and morality, in the ability to act decisively when uncertainty threatens to paralyze, and in the capacity to navigate the infinite complexity of the galaxy without losing clarity of purpose. As an Inquisitor, you have learned that power alone is insufficient, strength without discernment is dangerous, knowledge without action is meaningless, insight without discipline is perilous. True mastery integrates all facets of the operative: perception, judgment, action, and ethical awareness. Each mission, each encounter, each decision contributes to this ongoing refinement, shaping a mind capable of surviving where others would falter, perceiving patterns invisible to ordinary understanding, and acting with precision that aligns with purpose rather than impulse. The galaxy remains a vast, unyielding crucible. Corruption festers in hidden corners, heresy simmers beneath the surface, and the warp churns with ever-present danger. Yet within this chaos, you are no longer merely a reactive force. You move with anticipation, perceive with clarity, and act with deliberation. Allies and adversaries alike are understood, not only as participants in events, but as elements within a larger framework of influence and consequence. Your judgment dictates outcomes, balances forces, and shapes the flow of events in ways that few can comprehend. Moral responsibility is now inseparable from action. Every intervention, every decision, and every observation carries weight. Innocent lives, planetary stability, and the fragile balance of power are influenced by choices made with clarity, insight, and discipline. The Inquisition demands not only skill, but the wisdom to wield it judiciously, to act decisively while weighing consequences, and to maintain integrity, even when confronted by the galaxy's darkest temptation. Mastery is not simply survival, it is the ability to navigate ethical ambiguity, while preserving purpose. Experience, reflection, and discipline converge into instinct. Observation informs action before conscious thought can process every variable. Judgment guides response before hesitation can interfere, and knowledge, refined through trials, shapes decision with unwavering clarity. You operate not only with competence, but with foresight, understanding that each step taken influences countless threads across the galaxy. Mastery is the capacity to integrate perception, insight, and decisive action in a world defined by chaos, uncertainty, and moral complexity. Isolation, once a burden, has become a tool. The responsibility you carry rests solely on your shoulders, and this solitude hones focus, sharpens judgment, and cultivates clarity of purpose. Allies provide support, but the ultimate decisions, those that carry the weight of consequence, are yours alone.
In this, the operative is tempered into a sentinel, capable of navigating moral ambiguity, perceiving hidden threats, and acting decisively, even when the stakes are unmeasurable. As the final reflection settles, a profound understanding emerges. Mastery is not a destination, it is a continuous state of refinement, a process of alignment between observation, judgment, action, and moral clarity. The Inquisition's work is unending, the galaxy's threats infinite, and the responsibility eternal. Yet the operative, forged through trial, confrontation, and reflection, carries the tools, insight, and discipline necessary to meet each challenge with precision, resilience, and unwavering purpose. You have become more than an observer, more than a participant, more than a soldier. You are an agent of judgment, a sentinel of balance, and a force capable of shaping events through clarity, discipline, and purpose. Allies and adversaries, hives and warp, chaos and order, all are threads within a tapestry of understanding and influence that you now navigate with mastery. The galaxy remains vast, complex, and perilous, yet you are prepared, trained, tempered, and resolute. And so, with observation honed, judgment refined, and mastery achieved, you stand at the edge of the galaxy's infinite challenges, ready to act where others hesitate, to perceive what others cannot, and to carry the weight of the Inquisition's mandate with unwavering clarity. Mastery and judgment are no longer ideals, they are lived reality, and in that reality, you are both shield and sentinel, forever vigilant, forever prepared, and forever an agent of the Inquisition.